Sagittarius, in your reading, we're going to take a deep look at the true cost of peace. Now, a lot of us ask for it, a lot of us want to feel that freedom, that strong sense of balance within. And sometimes our whole healing journey and our life, our soul path can take us on a view of everything that gets in the way of peace within ourselves. We must go through this process of death and rebirth, of letting go, in order to truly experience the freedom and peace that comes with letting go. It's not always easy. It's easy as an outsider to say that, yeah. But there is no mistaking the different view, the change in perception, the shift in consciousness, and the authentic feeling that exists within when it comes to knowing that we have reached a state of peace. We have ascended an old paradigm. We have outgrown an old version of ourselves and the limitations that we thought would only ever get in the way. And that is the theme for you this month in June. You guys are kicking off your ecliptical cycle over the next 2 years, which starts with a full moon lunar eclipse on the 5th of June. And if peace is your goal, expect to analyze, get to the depths of, experience, and come across everything that does not align with that for you. You are strong and you can do it, but it is a time for letting go. It is a time for grief. It is a time to let go of the old version of you. And as we allow old karmic cycles and timelines to collapse, we can experience the healing energy of forgiveness for self or others, and a refresh and reset to truly know what it feels like to be empowered, and to redefine self-esteem. Find out how in your reading. Sagittarius, welcome. My name is Ali from Indigo Ascension. If this is your first time to the channel, please take a look at the description box below to discover a little bit more about the work that I do as an intuitive energy healer and reader, where you will find the links to my website address and my Facebook page. On the channel, I dedicate this content to empaths, intuitives, and sensitives, those that identify that they're on the awakening path. So you'll come across fortnightly and monthly readings centered on the zodiacs, to help ground down the high consciousness wisdom, perhaps, that is made available to us through astrological alignments, planetary placements, and eclipses, and whatever the case may be that might be going on, because as above, so below. There's always an alchemical opportunity present in all environments we find ourselves in, yeah? And it's no different on the macro and micro levels, and you can apply that in any context. So as a cyclical experience, star alignments, planetary alignments can all tell a story in many ways, and these patterns repeat. And when patterns repeat, we're flowing with karma, you know, and it's not until these cycles are broken, per se, understood, best integrated, made the most of, that we can truly be free of the restrictions of them. So if challenge always exists, then perhaps our greatest freedom is in identifying we have the freedom to experience new perceptions when we are confident enough to experience growth and change on those levels, yeah? Okay, so let's take a look at my lovely Sagittarius. A bit of a cosmic compass recap for the month. June is huge. June is 2 eclipses. June will bring us our 5th planet in retrograde. 5 is the number of change. June kicks off your next 2 years being in the South Node. Now, you, along with Gemini, are leading the ecliptical cycle, okay? We've just come out of Cancer. We will be coming out of Cancer and Capricorn. So the last 2 years was very much about those Capricornian and Cancerian themes that were needing to be balanced within and within everything, within every structure, within every part of us, within our lives, within our connections. It was about balancing the masculine and feminine. So over the next 2 years, there is a potent opportunity for massive and tremendous growth if you are so willing to embrace the idea that perhaps the stars are aligning in your favor and are providing you with the perfect kitchen and recipe where you can create the buffet that you have only perhaps envisioned, from other levels. Now, before we enter ecliptical cycles that are appropriate to our zodiac sign, it is common that we experience tremendous amount of clearing out beforehand. And we can almost, as empaths and sensitives and intuitives, we can almost get to the point that we're like, how long does ascension take? How long does healing take? I'm a healer now, I should know this stuff. But perhaps, Sagittarius, it's never about reaching the summit. It's never just about reaching the summit of a mountain before we know it. Life again offers us a chance to grow by showing us that there is yet another mountain, After you move through an ecliptical cycle, does it mean that there won't be any opportunity for growth? No. But it certainly is the perfect, potent classroom where you are able to put everything into practice that you should have already integrated. Now this ties into the wisdoms of the past. You are leading the South Node. This is about past life, the purpose of the past, the purpose of before times, the purpose of what got me to here, the choices, and that incorporates everything, and if we're working with the mirror in order to truly connect into the deeper subconscious drives we have as human beings, developmentally, we seek connection in order to see reflection, to know our reflection, to know self. We're seeking how that is perhaps reflected in the outside world. Think of a young, tiny baby that is responding to the expressions it's experiencing in its carers. We're no different as human beings. We seek, on some level, on many levels, approval, acceptance, feedback from the outside world. Now take that however you wish. We all know that can get to a point where it's perhaps unhealthy and unsupportive of true and genuine growth when we're completely relying on it. And it almost goes against our very fundamental human design and nature to then perhaps choose only to seek our own guidance without checking, and we all do it in our own way. Okay, but it's not until we get to that point where there is genuine peace, strength, and centered, empowered knowing that, I can research, I can look outside of myself, but it is not to justify who I am. I'm not needing to watch the world in order to determine an appropriate reaction for myself for my next steps or to gain feedback, whatever the case may be. Ecliptical cycles are a beautiful gift that can help truly highlight and bring into our awareness everything and sundry that we perhaps have not had the opportunity to process under just a full moon or a new moon. Now, it offers an energy. Those moons offer an energy. And when we're eclipsing everything else that's perhaps going on in the restaurant. So if planetary placements, if retrogrades are archetype energies, if they're personalities, if you like, that's how I like to feel into the cosmic energy, not just based on the practical knowledge of what each planet might represent and embody, no different to tarot cards. It's an intuitive process with how I sort of interpret it, mix it all together so it can flow and tell a story. Your life and your journey to Sagittarius is a story. And here you are within a restaurant, perhaps even looking at the buffet that's available to you, and maybe you're deciding, I don't even want a buffet that looks like that. I want it to build my own. I want a completely different one, and I think there's one down the road. Or I might stay here and sample a little while. It's everything is put in our path. Challenges, growth, love, joy, everything, in order to truly help us define constantly this opportunity to explore our connectivity to our environment, ourselves, our world. And it's this constant feedback loop of growth. It is always growth if we're moving forward with the wisdom integrated. Now, We have a full moon lunar eclipse on the 5th of June, and that is led by you guys, you know, to carry that energy. We are eclipsing any emotions, eclipsing any fears, intuitive knowing, hunches. We're getting clarity on them even. We're really looking at the deeper drives of what it means to be free, to travel outside of where we are, Sagittarius. You know, you guys are the zodiac's explorer, the traveler, the seeker of places other than here. And what does that mean? Because in June, we're working with some heavy energies or conflicting energies with love versus fear kind of stuff, where freedom versus restriction. These are the gifts of both eclipses this month. And, you know, the Sagittarius full moon lunar eclipse will precede the solar eclipse in Cancer on the 21st. Very different energies. You know, what does it mean to be free? What does it mean to nurture? Perhaps we're seeking freedom first because we just want to bust out of wherever we might be mentally, emotionally, physically, our reality. Take that however it resonates. There's going to be a distinct changing of the guard energy, just like the two different eclipses are very much led by two different and opposing, you know, two different energies. One wants to be free and is almost like the teenager that can't wait to leave home, and the other one is the mother that's just like, no, you need to stay home and be safe. And as much as, you know, we might love that energy because it comes in, you know, it's of purpose, you know, at different points in our lives, we also need to experience true freedom in many ways. So there's this beautiful opportunity to eclipse and gain some deep clarity around our deeper fears and drives, around around how we've approached the idea of freedom, whether recklessly or otherwise, what has been the driving force behind them, and how we've nurtured our desire to seek that on all the different levels that apply to us. What is freedom for you might be completely different to what freedom means for me. Just like the concept of abundance and success can come with complete, unique and different packages depending on who we ask. When one person might feel free, another might not. When one person feels love, another might feel hate, yeah? These are the things. It's a huge month, and Mercury enters the mix with the retrograde. So if you haven't already seen it, check out the channel for your May fortnightly and also monthly reads. Now, the 4 planets in retrograde, Saturn, Pluto, Venus, and Jupiter, are testing us in relation to everything we have learned about intimacy, connection, love, how that was modeled to us, the boundaries that society has given us, family values have given us, religion has given us, the boundaries we want to push out of, the opportunities we have pushed away because we're scared of that unsafe zone once outside of those very boundaries we wanted to cross. We're looking at our deeper drives and fears when it comes to all those things, and our love language, how we connect, how we communicate comes into the mix with Mercury. All the things we do not say, which is why Mercury perhaps it is known as, you know, it's about communication mishaps, travel mishaps. It is about the mind. We have a potent opportunity. It's ruled by Mercury, obviously. We've got this Mercurian energy this month that with Gemini season, there is this potent opportunity to truly work with the thought body, to really get to the depths of what drives us and how we're either loving or hating our mind, our thought, our perceptions, how we're letting our mind be our mastery tool, or how we are letting it be our enemy, you know. By really getting to the depths of all these themes in the retrogrades gives us a potent view of where we're currently at, so that we can work out exactly why this had to happen like that. Sneezing is clearing. And upgrades. We've had a lot of solar flares. We had a massive solar flare recently, actually. So it's good to see that freedom in the solar activity, and I think we'll be noticing more and more of that in the months to come. Now, solstice is also here, and that also arrives on the same time as the solar eclipse in Cancer, massive day. So let's just say that the first 2 weeks are a big cathartic opportunity, and it doesn't mean you have to be crawled up in bed doing some deep healing work, but it is a beautiful opportunity to truly go in and get rid of the last dregs of anything that needs to be eclipsed so that we can make the most of 5 planets in retrograde, which is inviting us, pushing us, forcing us. Pick your term, depends on where you're at and your resistance levels, to change everything on every level, in any way that we've always wanted, so that we can truly sort you more so than anyone, Saggy, because you guys are going to be kicking off a 2-year ecliptical cycle where you will continue to eclipse anything that rises up into your awareness for healing, clarity, and decision about how relevant it is to you now. It may have back there, it may have only yesterday, but now, where I am right now, is it relevant? Is it who I am? Where do I want to be? And it is no more about looking outside of self. Solar eclipses, lunar eclipses that are led by the zodiac is an opportunity for you to explore your day and night, your ego, your spirit, your shadow, and your light, and truly merge them. Anything that has opposed you, does oppose you, will be brought to your awareness for you to be able to integrate. This is a balancing of divine harmony and massive transformational growth. It is huge. All right, let's take a look. Grief, peace, forgiveness, death in the past, self-esteem. So right off the bat, and as we kick off your ecliptical cycle, Saggy, growth, okay, is definitely happening. It's appropriate. It's just, this is all about the solar plexus, okay? So focus on anything that feels like willpower and genuine empowerment. There's a difference between empowerment and power, okay? Genuine embodied empowerment is felt by everyone that crosses our path as healing. Yeah, it is a golden light. So infusing ourselves with full awareness and knowledge of whatever growth means for us, you know. It starts in the solar plexus, because the solar plexus is life force. Now, when it comes to what self-esteem means for you, that is going to perhaps be the first energy off the bat in the month of where you are heading. Everything that you have recently been through, currently are going through, has all been about reshaping this, okay? And in doing so, it can take a bit of a cha-cha. And we can say, I'm feeling strong in myself, I'm feeling amazing, but there is always room for growth in everything. There is always, can you glow any brighter is a great positive way of looking at things. Even when we're not feeling so bright, yeah? This is about redefining, reshaping whatever defines this. And that's the invitation here. I see in the past you're working with a lot of Plutonian energy, a lot of Scorpion energy. When the death card shows up, you know, I'm learning that endings are merely beginnings. Maybe this is the death of an old version of you. Maybe this is the death of a relationship, a circumstance, a situation, a chapter in your life where you have discontinued playing the role you were playing. It can happen in big ways or in little ways, but make no mistake, the next 2 years, and I know I'm going to try to avoid to keep referring the next, it's huge. An ecliptical cycle for you personally is huge, Sagittarius. And it is all because you're going to be ruling the South Node. It is all about the past and how it has gotten you to here. It's the past must be dealt with. There's a death that needs to happen, has happened. It's this continual onion layer, knowing that we are cyclical and life is cyclical. There's a new version of you that is trying to emerge. It may take a couple of years for him or her to truly birth and form. No different to the human and animal gestational period, you know, as we go through transformations. It cannot happen at our mind's choosing overnight, in a month, 2 years, or whatever the case may be. But make no mistake, you've recently come out of a massive leveling up. You are certainly perhaps even dealing with the death of an old version of yourself. Given a lot of the global circumstances, maybe you were forced into an ending in some way. and that has caused grief, because I see this centers your reading. And talking to Sagittarius is that are dealing with a letting go on emotional, mental, physical levels. If above you is peace, perhaps the goal is peace, but we certainly know what peace does not feel like because of circumstances that feel like this kind of energy. I do also want to say, Sagittarius, there's a beautiful peace that is made available to us when with a full heart and open hands we truly are willing to surrender. Base chakra, sacral chakra. And perhaps the first step to that peace is some form of communication. And all communication starts with self. And even just saying something out loud, I let this go. I'm willing to let this go. Working with the full moon lunar eclipse energy on the 5th of June, I highly recommend, if this is something that aligns to you, to do some form of ritual surrender, some form of ritual letting go, something symbolic of whatever this is, Sagittarius. The old version of you, the old way in which you did, write it down, create it, paint it, draw it, put symbolism in a box, whether it's representations of something that you used to be, representations of a connection you used to have. When we work with the energy of grief, Saggy, it is not the time spent that we grieve. It is not just the time that had been spent that we grieve. It is the time we were yet to experience. It was the dreams and goals we had put in place in our hearts and our minds. A time frame might only exist 6 months, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever the case may be. Apply this how it resonates to a connection, to a version of yourself, to a goal. We had invested our heart and our mind in a concept, an idea, a hope. And we had toiled at it, worked on it, invested everything that we were for a period of time. But it is not just that period of time that we are grieving. Because within that moment, within that version of ourselves, we had hoped and dreamed that it would be a much longer time frame, yeah? And that is the weight of the grief, even though it is only symbolized by something as small as that. A big part of grief and letting go is to grieve the future version of yourself that you thought you would be, based on what it is you are letting go of. And the ascension journey is very much about a grieving process. As we grieve the parts of ourselves we no longer have to carry, choose to carry, want to carry, but struggle to let go of. As we are shaking in fear and releasing ego. There is a shattering that takes place, Sagittarius. There is a shattering that takes place, and it very much feels traumatic and like grief. Letting the fragments and parts of ourselves go as we retreat back in our original essence. I felt it was necessary to mention the full moon lunar eclipse on the 5th. Maybe there's some Sagittariuses out there that are wanting to work in ritualistic contexts with this grief and death energy and this letting go and eclipsing. Okay? In order to invite peace in as a state of being. Underneath all this, there's a forgiveness energy sitting around, whether you are having to forgive yourself, forgive another. Underneath this, there is peace in forgiveness. And I don't say that lightly. It is not something we can easily do. And perhaps the hardest thing to do is to forgive ourselves for making choices we have made in the past that led us to circumstances that did end, or that we are grieving the consequences of our decisions. We are grieving that things turned out the way they did, and having to forgive others for not embodying their highest, or what we had thought would be their highest. Forgiveness comes in many forms, many cloaks, but its healing is guaranteed. It invites this letting go, and it is an essential ingredient within this process for you this month. As you reform concepts around self-esteem, this is a lot of strong solar plexus energy. What you're first working with, in many ways, Saggy, is your base and sacral chakras, to get them up to genuine flow, okay? And to really activate this strong sense of a throat chakra energy is what I'm feeling, so that everything that comes out of here is peace. It starts down here, because I think I'm connecting into Sagittarius that will know exactly what I mean. You can feel when your voice shakes. You can feel when self-esteem impacts this. You can feel when grief impacts this. The tonal changes, it's very evident in your voice and what you do and do not say. And you don't even have to even share this with other people around you. You know, this can be a process that happens just as an inner knowing that you've been processing. But it's by targeting those base chakra energies of grief, death, and forgiveness that you will actually notice a shift in your throat chakra, is what I want to say. Okay? Which will fundamentally shift and change self-esteem, because look at the colors. There's red, orange, and yellow, which infuses our solar plexus towards growth. There are energies of regret and empathy and adversity and envy and patience at play, is what I also want to say. So take that however it resonates, and each of us are unique in how those energies sort of integrate and cross our path as reflections for truth, whether we're looking outside, whether we're looking within, okay? As above, so below, macro, micro. It's always this constant feedback loop when we're defining this. And if we're no longer defining this in the same old ways, because something had to die that was not serving us, this is guaranteed, so that we no longer experience regret, so that we can genuinely connect into the empathy of all sides of the equation, all parties involved, all versions of ourselves, and that we see that adversity was the lighthouse that taught us a lot. And the envy of a time and a place that could be, should be, could have been, is unnecessary, because we're always shaping our path. We're always creating in this moment here and now, which renders these energies irrelevant. Okay? Patience. You have a beautiful 2-year journey ahead, Sagittarius. When I say beautiful, it is thorough. It is guaranteed to bring growth and immense change. And if you think you are letting go of parts of yourself now, 2 years from now, you will see that the best is yet to come. And the most potent transformations are deep and wide and many layers. All right, let's take a look and see what the tarot wants to say. Saggy. I'm connecting into Saggies that are doing everything that they can on all levels to infuse this. Now, remember, we are more than just the physical. We are an emotional body. We are a thought body. We're an energy body and a soul. Self-esteem is not just satiated on the physical level. It will last a little while. It is only temporary and fleeting when we get to the core, when we get through all layers to truly nourish the need for that energy to be fulfilled, so that we can feel peace of mind, peace in our heart, peace within ourselves. Self-esteem must be nourished on all levels. Chariot card wanted to jump out. Let me just pick up these cards. The Chariot is ruled by Cancer. It is also coming out of the Cancer ecliptical cycle. The last 2 years has perhaps been a potent wisdom teacher for you in many ways as well, Saggy. Cancer season coming up will most definitely bring you to this new elevation of what self-esteem can mean for you as well. All right, my loves, let's have a look. The Justice card, Four of Cups, the Knight of Cups, Five of Pentacles, the Hierophant, and the Ten of Swords. The Ace of Pentacles, the Hermit, the Five of Wands, the Eight of Pentacles, the Devil, and the Fool. What a beautiful beginning. The Death card. If you didn't think you were transforming before, well, the cards seem to want to let you know that you are. So that is double confirmation. You are definitely going through some form of Phoenix rising. This is karma balancing is what I actually want to say, because the Justice card is here. I've just noticed. Look at this, Death and Justice. Now there's an ending, a separation, a divorce. There is an old version of you is coming to an end. You're cutting something out here, okay? But you're also hesitant to make the next step, but you know this ending must happen. Whether that's already happened, I'm talking about the first week of June, okay? Now, you might be connected into a Libra. You might have Libra within your placements, but make no mistake, there is a deep transformation going on within you so that you can truly heal. Maybe you do need to hear something so that you can truly heal karmic patterning, okay? And on some emotional level, there is something here you're not wanting to look at, you're not wanting to take or accept, but it is also a divine gift that can help you get to this next level of your emotional body, because this is the Knight of Cups. And if you go back in your journey, you might notice this slow and sluggish process whereby you were reluctant to open your heart, because the Knight of Cups invites us to open our heart. What are we investing our heart in? What are we investing our emotional body in? What emotions are we accepting? What emotional offers are we accepting from others that fit in with us? If there was this sluggish process because we're clearing base chakra and sacral chakra and self-esteem stuff, there was perhaps this hesitancy to truly explore what that means for us on that level. Karmic balancing had to happen. This death and grief and ending had to happen so that you could truly feel free up, okay? Base chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus chakra, Sagittarius. And after the solar plexus, we've got the heart chakra, okay? The Hierophant, the Five of Pentacles, and the Ten of Swords, I do see, I'm connecting into Sagittarius as that are perhaps going through some form of spiritual lesson when it comes to losses and betrayal and the ending of the last 10 years. You've integrated the wisdoms of everything you've learned, and in many ways, June invites you to at least begin that exploration, because it's, you know, truly, I mentioned this in another reading that I've done earlier. Now, look at this Ten of Swords. This deck is quite different to other ones. Now, the traditional Ten of Swords is quite a dark card where there are swords coming out of their back. There's blood. It really looks like, you know. But I love being able to tell people, don't be scared of the huge or dark tarot cards. You know, they are shifts for change. Endings must begin. But look at this. Look at it, Saggy. It is almost like these swords. So the swords aren't even touching him. It's a lot of gold healing energy there. June offers you the opportunity to truly ascend into a higher wisdom of what your pain and any chapters of betrayal and the times that people in the world have let you down, and how betrayal has perhaps gotten in your way. I'm picking up on this sluggish energy to open my heart, authentically connect into my emotional body. And perhaps this was because this needed to ascend onto a new way of perceiving self. We had to perceive it from a higher principle, yeah? Because the Hierophant is here. Spiritual, religious views, perceptions on the whys of our challenges. We're seeing things, our pains in a whole new way. And we're seeing our losses in a whole new way. Maybe you are experiencing financial loss, but this is loss, the energy of loss nonetheless. There's a lot of grief and loss and change energy here for you, Sag. But I do see in many ways the things that were perhaps the deepest cuts are being seen from the eyes of your higher self this month. There's an opportunity to feel that healing from that view. There is a beginning here. After a time of going in, you might be connecting into a Virgo, but there is a beginning here, and that can certainly pertain to finances. You have got a couple of financial cards here. Cups, pentacles, swords, coins, wands. You've got a balance of all the bodies, you know, but if we're eclipsing and you are launching this new ecliptical cycle, if you are working on eclipses, there is going to be an opportunity for you to eclipse something on the physical, emotional, thought, energy bodies. So you've got the Hierophant here as well. That's higher principles. You've got the Justice card there. You are balancing. I'll explain those in a little while, actually, based on the major arcanas that have shown up to you. There's conflict here that needs to be addressed. Internal, definitely. Because you're wanting to reconnect to this fire energy if you haven't already. I see there's a lot of base and sacral chakra stuff here that needs to be balanced. And addressing the shadow and light elements of those will help us balance conflict, which is perhaps naturally being reflected as conflict in our outside world when it's going on within, Saggy. So there's an opportunity to truly take the solo path and go within. Take a solo path for a new beginning that you can actually substantiate on your own. This is something that you probably don't even have to. And if you are in partnership, if you live in a house full of people, there is... Sorry, guys. Come here, please. Come here, please. Stop it. There's an opportunity here for you to truly ground down a practical new beginning, start a new job, start a new chapter of your life, a new commitment. And that can apply to love. I see that there's conflict here about committing or wanting to go solo even. Okay? Wanting to commit to my current path, or just to go off on a bit of a sojourn. Wisdom can truly be gained here when we decide what we want to begin. And in beginning, we have to decide what no longer resonates and what's no longer a part of that. Okay? I can also feel like I'm in competition. When the Eight of Pentacles, there's a lot of career stuff here. There's a lot of work and money focus in many ways too, Sagittarius. The Eight of Pentacles, the Devil card, and the Fool. You've got quite... No, come here. No barking, please. 2, 3, 4, 5 major arcana cards, and there's 5 planets in retrograde, Saggy. Now listen, with the Fool and the Devil, you are definitely coming in to a new understanding, perception, feeling, awareness within yourself when it comes to what you feel stuck and bound by. When the Devil energy shows up, we are definitely working with shadow self. We are definitely working with anything that feels oppressive. In the realms of love, in the realms of commitment, in the realms of anything that we are committed to and tied to, we are always free and should feel free. Does commitment make us feel foolish? Do we feel foolish for not wanting to commit? There's something here where you want to begin again after coming out of something that you felt stuck in. Maybe you're wanting a refresh in an existing relationship that got to this point. So you're wanting a new beginning. I'm even connecting into Sagittariuses that are leaving an old career place, old way of working and making money in order to start a new beginning that sees them wanting to commit on something. I want to work on this when the Eight of Coins shows up. I'm strongly feeling this is relationship stuff though. I want to commit. I want to work on this. I want to move away from this old energy, this old paradigm of connecting. I'm wanting to connect and commit to a whole new beginning because of the Ace of Coins. And the Fool is a whole brand new beginning. Let's take a look at the Major Arcana, guys. But I also wanted to say that there is a lot of money, career, business focus here. So for the Saggies that I'm picking up on when it comes to connections, there's a karmic balancing that had to happen. Libra. A frequency, a way of doing things, a way of connecting, a way of communicating your love language, okay? The retrogrades are happening for a reason. They have risen within us, awareness within ourselves about how we are creating and patterning and continually manifesting experiences in our lives where we're noticing similarities and themes. There's a karmic dropping here of an old version of yourself, an old timeline, old way of doing things, old relationship, old life, old career. And with that comes some higher spiritual guidance and principles. Maybe you were spiritually led to do so. Maybe this ending had to happen for your spiritual growth, and this connection was perhaps toxic. This connection was keeping you bound down into lower levels, and you're wanting to be up here. You were playing a karmic role and were needing to rise higher. And we are bound by the energy cords within connections. We are bound by the energy cords within our workplaces. We had to ascend. We always have to ascend. When life is pushing us and timelines suddenly collapse, it's because it is time to ascend and grow. And growth was at the base of your cards. This is about truly going and seeking the wisdom within. And this is about just not even looking in the mirror. We're not looking for feedback from other people. We have to go with what is right for us. We're not emulating another. We're not emulating someone else's pathway. This is soul wisdom that has come from your higher self. That is the most unique information source that you can access. It is also the most unique gift you can offer the world when you are able to truly connect into that and then communicate it, because that's what's happening here with the Peace card. This is throat chakra stuff, channeling stuff. Okay, it's about lifting you out of the lower realms, Sagittarius, of the base and sacral chakra energy that turns to, that can turn to its shadow element, that makes us feel bound, stuck. We're motivated by human desires here. We're recreating karmic looping and patterning and scenarios, whether that's reflected in relationships, experiences, workplaces, money cycles even, because we're stuck in this karmic loop, and a karmic patterning had to drop. And karmic patterning is reflected in everything, how we do money, how we do love, how we do friendship. It is all mirror, mirror, mirror. There's a brand new, beautiful beginning here. And you're kicking off an ecliptical cycle. I can't explain that in any other way. It's huge, Saggy. It is huge. We've already done the mix of the elements with the swords, the wands, the cups, and the fire. This is about you kicking off a brand new cycle. Where did they all go? The Hierophant was up here. Okay. I just want to take a quick look, Saggy. Death card, the Ten of Cups, the Tower, the Six of Swords, the King of Wands, that's you in your higher element, the King of Cups, the Page of Cups, the Page of Pentacles, the Two of Swords. The last 2 years have been a relevant story. Same too will the next 2 years when it comes to death and transformation, Scorpio energy. Ten of Cups, your emotional fulfillment and how much time you've allowed to focus on it, how you distract yourself perhaps with other material levels, physical levels, and focuses, okay? Because it's all about your emotional fulfillment to truly transcend into this higher element of yourself. The Tower is an awakening card. We are busting out of old paradigms. We are dropping karmic cycles. We are letting go of old versions of ourselves. We are moving away from our past and we are rebuilding a stronger foundation. moving towards peace and clarity as we step into the highest element of ourselves, Saggy. That's the King of Wands. This is you in your highest element, so that we truly feel empowered and divinely inspired, creative, sensual, confident about who we are and the direction we're heading in and who we're with. It's emotional equilibrium and understanding and increasing empathy and compassion thanks to the King of Cups, ruled by Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. If emotional fulfillment is the goal, emotional mastery must be a skill that we wish to embody and undertake. Noticing how that can be tweaked and polished. And yes, by all means, it's different for everyone. Like, what emotional mastery is for you is perhaps different for me, is different for the next person. We're always growing, we're always expanding. There's a creative endeavor here. Creativity can help. An apology that might want to be extended. If forgiveness is at play, this might be relevant when the Page of Cups shows up. The Page of Pentacles, there's probably children involved, but this is also a reinvigoration of practical applications of a youthful view and feeling about your life, yourself, your path again, when the Page energy is there. And as I said, the Two of Swords, it frames and shapes a time frame of the last 2 years and the next 2 years. Be interesting to see what next month reading brings, and by all means the next 2 fortnightly readings for June, Saggy. But this is a slow and steady process, energy flow, I'm feeling very much so. Keep it simple. If peace is thy goal, hold that grief, work on forgiveness, allow the old version of self to fall away. Death and rebirth is a very real thing. It's a very beautiful thing. And just like we cannot rush labor, just like we never know when death might be upon us, there's always a time of endings and beginnings. And it's not satisfied by the time frames of the lower realms of our world. It's not satisfied by the time frames of the shadow of the human self. It is satisfied by spirit. It's satisfied by the wisdom that we gain within on our own, and that cannot be found anywhere else, not reflected in a connection, not reflected in another, not reflected in the opinion that society has given to us, but from self, from our higher self. Okay, my love, I hope this resonates. I hope this message has provided you with some sense of confirmation, okay, of what you're, some activation for the next level of your journey. I hope you find healing, and I hope you find an enthusiastic wanting of life again in June, because you are kicking off in an exciting chapter, Saggy. You are leading the ecliptical cycle with Gemini, and it's going to be a massive 2 years. Enjoy June. Namaste. Thanks for watching.